we are. And we don't have to hide that from our team if we have to go one step closer to that. Yes, client calls are different. External investor calls are different, but team have to be treated as team.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Human First Leadership. I'm Connor Drake, Senior Coach at Mindmaven, where we help startup leaders and VCs 10x their productivity and achieve true greatness through relationships. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Pooja, Khosla, CEO of Intelligent, an energy and climate analytics company that helps investors mitigate the risks of climate change and capitalize on the opportunities in energy transition. Pooja, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Connor. Thanks for inviting me to the show.
So I'm thrilled to dig into this. But there's one thing that I think I've learned about you in my research and some of our conversations, is that you're clearly a very mission and community-driven leader. And I'm curious what shaped that part of your identity.
I think, Connor, I truly believe that it takes a village to make companies, to make leaders, similarly as we raise our kids. We all start from a very promising idea to create a very promising future. And we really need a lot of people to believe in the idea, believe in the mission, contribute in the mission. And it only happens, one, you should have a very strong idea. Second, you should have a lot of community around you that trust you, that trust your mission, that have shared goals. And third, we need to be transparent, because ideas fail, mission fails, and we should be able to bounce back and get back to our mission for shared goals.
Absolutely. I think I hear three themes throughout that. You've got this idea of community and the importance of mission and the importance of trust and all of that. I think trust is what ties those two things together, right? And you've, I think, had a very interesting and unique journey to your leadership role in that you didn't start as the CEO of Intelligent, right? And I'm hoping you could share a little bit more about your journey to where you are now, and especially the role that relationships played.
So, Connor, I always call myself a professor and a scientist turned into a CEO. I come from a very humble teaching background, but I always try to do what I love, and I love what I do.
I love that.
So, I got lucky. While I was in my teaching positions at University of Colorado Boulder, to meet a Nobel laureate, climate scientist, Dave Schiller, who is one of my mentors, especially my science mentor. And he had a very interesting idea at that time, 15 years ago. They were working on climate models, energy models. And these models were ahead of the time. Right now we are living that reality. Like you see, with inclusion of AI everywhere, the energy demands of the world will be much higher than what I have ever imagined. The world is going to need 10 to 15% of more energy in 3 to 5 years than we ever projected. So the idea, it started that soon how we are going to consume energy and how we are going to produce energy is going to change. How can we take information from these climate and energy projection to translate into capital markets? An idea was backed by a mission, because if we invest right, we can move the capital markets. We can move the capital markets where we can create impact for our planet, for our environment, in a way where we can also build businesses, build revenues, and build return on investments. Second, this idea had a mission about reaching out to any corporation, whether it's an industrial company, a petrol company, or a utility company, to see that there is an opportunity of cost saving, there is an opportunity for business build, there is an opportunity of expansion, even if you launch green products or steer from coal or traditional fossil fuels to renewable. And I say that this person, David, converted me into his idea and mission because he was the first leader that I followed, because I believed in the vision he was creating. And in my life, I ended up with a couple of degrees and educational background that includes finance, that includes economics, value creation, that includes climate science. So I was able to absorb the climate piece and translate that into a financial piece, which is more practical, applicable, and more understood by the business communities and capital markets. So that was the base we built the business. And yes, I joined as a co-founder of a product, co-founder of building a product that is quality. And because my board, my team trusted in me, I was picked to run the company after a couple of years working, building the product, being in a sales role, selling what I built.
So we have those same themes, even along your journey. You've got mission in there, you've got community, you've got trust in there. So you ascended to this CEO role. And I think anyone who's listening to this, who's watching this, no one can doubt that you're clearly very passionate about this mission. And I assume that attracts very mission-driven, very passionate people to your organization as team members. I'm curious, how do you lead a mission-driven organization and mission-driven team?
So I think the organization that has a mission or that has a purpose behind him, the purpose leads everybody. The purpose is at the first priority. And yes, people who shared the same purpose, they come and join our team because what they want to do with their life, what they want to create value, not only with the professional life, but also the contribution that they want to leave. They work at a different mindset, different capacity. And I believe that in our organization, our purpose, our mission is the leader. Like we all follow that purpose and mission.
Mission is the leader. I like that. And how do you balance that when you need to step in and you need to be that leader that, say, a team member needs? How do you support your team?
So I think the team needs clear communication, clear strategy, and collaboration. Communication, strategy, and collaboration are very important three principles of how we orchestrate our work. Communication, because everybody have the role, everybody have the contribution. There needs to be a clear definition of roles, clear definitions of what we need to meet our quarterly goals, our annual goals, and how we should track it, how the milestones should be tested, how can we quantify that milestones. And this all is a bigger piece of communication. And I have seen a lot of organization failing because of missing communication. I always say that most people want to create value, but it could be a process or a communication error which fails.
Yes. And do you think the burden, for lack of a better word, of communication falls on you as the leader, or is that on your team?
I think first I have to take responsibility of it. And for me also, I need to get the clarity from my board. Because I believe that even if you have a vision, you should have a very strong board, mentors around you to see whether it is solid. Because at the very end, even I'm a human, I can make mistakes or I can take wrong decisions. But if you test your decisions on the people who have done this before, who share the responsibility as a board of the company, then you test your idea before taking your idea to your team, because you have to believe that this idea, if it lands on investors on the board, it is ready for the team.
Yes, absolutely. So getting outside opinions, getting outside of the echo chamber of your own head, and having people that you trust, but also people that you know would push back, would maybe tell you things that are hard to hear, that you don't want to hear, right?
Right, and I think I want to hear what I don't want to hear always. Take a deep breath, because that's where the value is added. That's where I get a tool which I don't have as a person. And we all are growing, and I think I will grow till I am 90-year-old or more. So we are always learning. So I think accepting what you don't know, how you can make it better, and then take it to your team and mentor them and let them see that vision. Let them also challenge you. Let them say that, okay, this idea is excellent, but how about we do it this way? Because those are the people who are going to translate vision into execution. And everybody have their execution styles. Everybody have their own processes that works, that don't work. So I think with clear communication, freedom, and accepting how people execute plan is the second important thing for any leader.
Absolutely. And you, I think, touched on something important that I want to dig a little bit deeper into. So you talked about going to the board and getting some pushback there. You also talked about then taking that idea to your team and being comfortable getting pushback and suggestions from them. And I think that, again, touches on this idea of trust. Your team has to trust you to be able to push back. You're the CEO, and for a lot of people that can feel intimidating. So how do you build relationships with your team where they truly feel comfortable being that dissenting voice in the crowd?
So Connor, for that, I think the tool is listening. If I want my team to listen to me, I have to listen to them.
Yes. Okay. And how, for a leader who maybe that doesn't come naturally to, do you have any advice you would give them to not only to listen, but to show others that they are listening?
I think one, presence is very important for listening. We live in a world of a lot of distraction, and honestly, like even I have to deliver a lot of work, so I also co-process during some of my meetings, not all, some of my meetings. But I think a lot of people think that presence is not important, but I believe that presence is the first step. If your cameras are turned on during even the office is virtual, if you are looking at the person, if you are making relatable connection to the person, you are listening. You are listening and adding value. You are listening and questioning. That is very important because, look, I always believe that people who care for us will guide us or give us negative feedback. Will you go and correct somebody's kids doing something if you don't know it's a stranger kid? No. But will you do it for your own kid? Yes. So I think listening and accepting that people could think differently than you think, and not rejecting the idea that others are giving you or shooting it right there. Questioning, evaluating, and maybe that idea is better. It's just you are taking time to accept something different. Or In that brainstorming on questioning session, the other person will believe, no, her idea may work better than mine. Her execution plan may work better than mine. I should better do it that way. Coming to a common agreement, because then from my vision or my idea, it becomes our vision and our idea. And people, once contribute in building that, they own it because they worked on it. We worked on it together. From I, it becomes our.
And I think you touched on such an important distinction, and it was quick, so I want to draw attention back to it. That when people voice concerns, they come to you with suggestions, that it's because they care. If they didn't care about the mission, if they didn't care about you, frankly, as a leader, then they would sit down, put their head down, and do their work, check in, check out. So choosing as a leader to see that feedback that's maybe sometimes challenging as a sign that you have people in your life, in your organization who care about you and care about the company and the mission, I think is very, very powerful.
Yes.
And you also touched on some very practical tips, I think, for delivering an experience where people feel heard. And it's very simple things more often than not. When we're going through our face-to-face meeting management module with clients, one of the simplest things we tell people to do that is still news to so many people is, yes, have your camera on. Don't have virtual meetings where everyone's camera is off. But number two, make sure that when you're talking with someone, or more importantly, when they're talking to you, as tempting as it is, you don't look at their image. You look at the camera. You pretend that the camera, your webcam, is them, and it simulates that eye contact and it creates a much more intimate, relationship-driven conversation. So it really does come down to those little things, right?
Right.
Now, it's clear that in the work that you've done and the stories that you've shared and how your team interacts, you have managed to surround yourself with a team of people who are very mission-driven, who are very passionate about the work that they're doing. And I'm curious, how do you as a leader find people like that?
I think it's like matchmaking. You find the people, people find you. So we are a small company, less than 12 employees. And I think a lot of people that we get are people, Generation Z or Gen Millennials, who really have figured out what they want to do. What is their purpose in terms of a profession and in terms of a contribution through their profession, how they want to impact. So I think in the choice algorithm, because we are a climate energy space, we attract the millennials and the Generation Z who already have made some purpose. And then for other investors, board members, advisors who have a lot of industry experience, they have already been into established career before, and they really want to try new things. They really want to do something which they can proudly say to their kids or their family members that we are attached to this company, and this company is driving capital markets in terms of energy and climate transition. It's producing a future that we would all like to live in. And I think that change is very exciting to them. That change from their earlier career is very valuable to them. And I think it's, as I mentioned, it's matchmaking, and then it's the culture of the organization too. We have a very low retention rate, and I have people in the organization who have been with me for a decade, for 5 years, 3 years, because we really value each other. We really listen to each other, and we're always innovating. And I think a lot of people want to innovate with their contributions. They don't want to be in a roles which are less exciting or just stereotyping. So I think innovation attracts very good talent in the company. So we really have a very high bar of innovation.
Yes, yes, and I like what you said, especially about I think your team members, that you're seeing a lot of we'll say younger generations who are maybe prioritizing mission over paycheck, right? And they want to align their work with who they are as a person.
Right.
And so there's less clear delineating lines between here's who I am and here's what I do. I'm curious, as a leader, when you bring these people on board, how important is it for you to understand who they are outside of work?
It is very important for me to know my team member outside their work persona, because I think I work with people, and people are what they are because of the stories, because of the experience, because how their past education, their bringing up. Like there are a lot of factors that make you or make me who I am or who you are. For me, understanding those factors is very important. Like if my engineer, I know that he has a toddler at home, I know that he will deliver the work once the toddler is sleeping at night. I'm okay with that, because for me, getting work done is important. And in the time promised is important. But if they want to have a lunch out with the family, they have a family, and make up for their time later, those details are less important. And I think most of us, especially the new generation, want that flexibility. They want that relationship with the companies, with their employees, who not only value them as a contributor, but also value them for who they are. I'm a working mom myself. I start my calendar at 6 a.m., but I take a hard stop break from 3 to 6 to be with my kids. And others also value that in my company. So I think if we all have to be successful, there was a time when people chose career versus life balance. But I think now with technology and with the work culture, especially after COVID, when we all went online and we still produce results in a virtual setting, we all realized that we could have both.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
And if we can have both, why compromise? Why not have both?
Absolutely. If you can help someone feel fulfilled in all aspects of their life, that's someone who's going to follow you through hell and back, right? Like someone who knows that you see them as a person first, and an employee second.
Yes, and in our internal meetings, I'm very open. You don't have to shut down the camera because you're holding your baby. I would also love to see the baby, and we can talk with the baby. He's quiet. And when my kids are home, there have been incidences in internal meeting. They're flying their drones. That's fine. This is who we are, and we don't have to hide that from our team if we have to go one step closer to that. Yes, client calls are different. External investor calls are different, but have to be treated as team.
I really like that. I was going to ask you, what are some of the tactical things that you do to learn those things about your team? Like, you mentioned your team member has a 12-year-old daughter, but that's a great example of, just leave your camera on if your kids come into frame, and kids come into frame, introduce them. But is there anything else that you do to maybe not only learn that information about your team, but make sure that you remember it, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, that their daughter's birthday is coming up, or something like that?
So Connor, for that, I have a gifted memory. I don't have to memorize things. When I know something, it just, because I care, it stays with me. So if you will see, if you care, you don't forget those things. If you don't care and if you were not present, you will forget those parts of things. My team is important to me. I know how old their kids are, approximately. I know their names. I love to meet their spouses whenever it's possible. So it's connections. And I think these relationships are important. Even if they go out of my company later, they will learn and we will always have this friendship, relationship, and fun memories with us that we created value and had fun working with each other.
Just care. That's very, as simple as it sounds, it's very tactical advice. Genuinely care. And for those who maybe struggle remembering things like that, some people do. Some people it comes more naturally to, some people it doesn't. Even just having a place where you can jot that information down, having a relationship management tool of some kind,
Yeah.
I would encourage you
I
not
would
to feel
strongly
guilty about
recommend
that.
I would strongly recommend that if you can't, because have a relationship management tool, or like if you have the employee profile, maybe you can, personalize an employee profile for you. Then these are the things
Yes.
that I have to remember. And for me, Connor, it's a small team. I don't know when we get big, very big, I'll be able to do that or not too, but I have not tested yet.
Sure, that's fair.
I
That's
guess
fair.
in future, maybe in future for sure. I guess
Absolutely. And when a company does scale and it gets, to 20 people,
100
30, 50,
employees or 200 employees, right? So
exactly. And so having something where you don't have to rely on your brain as much, because right now you probably meet with all 13 team members fairly often over the course of any given week. But if someone meets with someone, say once a month, maybe,
yeah.
they might not be able to remember this information. So storing it in a tool of some kind and just spending 30 seconds before the meeting reviewing that tool and saying, okay, oh, that's right, last we talked, his daughter was sick. I should check in, see how she's feeling. That goes a very long way in showing that you care, even if you have to use an outside tool to do that.
Or put it in your meeting notes. Right now, if we take meeting notes, right, and like everybody's using an AI note taker,
Yes.
so ask some personal questions. How are you today? How is your family doing? Did you go to your daughter's soccer camp? How was it? Did they win the match? And those notes will be there.
Yes, that's such a great point with how prevalent these are now. Most of them not only do summaries, but allow you to query those summaries. Tools like Fathom, like Will, you can then go in and ask follow-up questions.
Yes.
What did we talk about in this meeting?
Most people start meetings with how is the project? What is the status? What is missing? Maybe just start the meeting. How are you?
Yes.
How
are
is the
you?
family?
Mm-hmm.
What fun did you have in summer? Where did you travel? And then those are your meeting notes to reference
Yes.
back the next meeting.
And if you capture it, you've got it forever. And if you just take this small step of asking after the name of someone, or asking after someone's kid by name,
Right.
that communicates so much that you
Right.
care. So I love talking with someone who relates to that and believes in that so much. And kudos to you for being someone who can just internalize that. I do not have that specific gift. I'm a very tool reliant person, but I love that you do, and I'm sure that delivered just an incredible experience to your team. I had one more question I wanted to ask you before we start wrapping things up here. You've mentioned a lot about your team and wanting your team to feel seen and appreciated, having their life aligned with their work, especially if you're maybe attracting younger generations, younger talent who's driven by that. What do you as a leader do to shape someone's day-to-day work and responsibilities and align them with their bigger life goals as you learn that about them?
So, Connor, as I mentioned in the very beginning of our conversation, that I was a professor. I started my career being an educator. And I always say that you can take professor out of the school, but you cannot take school out of the professor. So I always hire interns most of the summers, whenever I can. And I love mentoring, coaching them. And how do I start is that, how do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you want to do in 10 years? And would you like to work for a company who we are or something different? Because when we do something we love, it's not just a paycheck, it's our passion. Um, Businesses are rocky rides. There are a lot of ups, there are lots of downs, and we have to go through a lot. And people who are passionate about it, they can take it and still work harder and smile. So I asked them that I want you to envision 3, 5, 10 years and come to me. And then I will give you a project. Okay, if you see yourself in 3, 5, 10 years for working at a Wall Street firm or a big asset manager or a bank, maybe I'll give you a project where you have to go and learn about their products and educate me, because that will help me to build new products. So aligning interest with the vision, with the project, is the best way to keep people together.
That is succinctly said, and I think perfectly said. Taking the time to learn who they are now, who they want to be, and building their work so it can be a bridge, right, from where they are to where they want to go.
Right, and I have a team. You see people who really want to be in front of the camera. They love client meetings. And I also work with very focused engineers who really don't want to turn their camera on during the meetings, but they will deliver. So you have to respect those choices and give them the project which feels like them. You don't have to change people, you can change the projects.
I love how succinct that is, because essentially what you're doing is building a bridge from where they are right now to where they want to be. And maybe more importantly, who they are right now to who they want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And if people really believe that every day that they show up to work, they're getting closer and closer to the person that they want to be, that there's no better way to build loyalty, to build following, to build people who are willing to follow you through the ups and downs of building a company, which is inevitably going to have its highs and its lows.
Correct. Yes.
Well, this was a great conversation, Pooja, and there's so much more that we could dig into that I'd love to dig into, and maybe we can have another conversation in the future. But I think anyone listening can see how much you care about the mission, about your team, and hopefully can walk away with maybe a little bit more of a belief that being a leader isn't just about being in charge. It's about being in service, right? It's about serving your team, because in turn, your team is going to serve you and the mission as a whole, which, as you said at the very start, the mission is the ultimate leader of the company, right?
Exactly. And I love the book, Servant Leadership. I will recommend it to everybody. That being a leader doesn't makes you in charge. It makes you to collaborate with every person who is in charge of a project in your team, so that they can achieve the goals. Because if they achieve their goals, you will achieve company goals.
Yes, I love a good book recommendation. Well, thank you again for your time. This was a great conversation.
Thanks, Connor.